because God can talk to all of us. We may or may not recognize it as being his voice, but God can talk to and use anyone. Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year podcast, brought to you by two Brits and aBible. This is day 14, covering Genesis 41 and 42.
In Genesis 41, Joseph interprets Pharaoh's dream and is rewarded. And in Genesis 42, Joseph's 10 brothers go to Egypt to buy corn, and Joseph demands that Benjamin comes to Egypt.
Lovely. So we're going to kick off here, kind of continuing on from yesterday, really. We were talking about Joseph's cojones. So effectively, this is kind of the continuation of that story, really, because Pharaoh's just had this dream, or these two dreams, I should say, and everyone's tried, no one's able to interpret it for him. And the cupbearer suddenly is like, oh yeah, I know a dude. So Joseph gets pulled up out of prison, and then Pharaoh's like, I've had these dreams. Could you explain them to me? And the first thing he does is like, nah, I can't.
Yeah.
Like,
just
yeah. The cupbearer must have bricked it a little bit, because he's just vouched for this dude.
Yeah. Plus he's seen the baker impaled and so on. So
seriously. But it turns out Joseph's like, no, I can't. Psych, God can. Which is, I guess, it's a sign, again, just a sign of the growth that Joseph has seen while he's been in prison, because it seems as though he's really started to develop some humility while he's in there, because he's saying, no, I can't, but God can. And it's really cool, because I'll shut up in a second. It's really cool because God is obviously giving this dream to Pharaoh. So God is talking effectively to a non-Christian, someone who doesn't have a relationship with him, because God can talk to all of us. We may or may not recognize it as being his voice, but God can talk to and use anyone.
Absolutely. Just touching on that, because that was one of my verses as well. I just put, give it all to God and realize you can't do it alone. I just think that what you said was spot on though, mate. I have to mention the fact that it's, the dream that's interpreted 7 good years and then 7 years of famine. Just couldn't help but notice the 7. Yeah. What is it about the 7s, man? That number of completion constantly coming up in the Bible over and over and over again. I love that. I can see you've got quite a bit more before I jump into Genesis 42. So let's keep going with some of your things.
So it was just kind of an interesting thing, really, to be honest with you, where Joseph has been storing up. So the first 7 years of good harvest and stuff, Joseph's been storing up food from Egypt. And now in the 7 years of famine, he's now selling that same food back to presumably the same people that he took it from.
Right.
It seems, because then further on, a bit more of a spoiler alert, he goes on to then take their land and their livestock and themselves, basically. It just seems like it's a bit selfish, a bit of a dick move. Surely be generous with what you've got, sell it to foreigners, sure, but for the Egyptians who have actually worked hard to do all this for him, they're now having to pay to get it back again.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. I see what you're saying though. I'm going to say this almost every episode. It's just above my pay grade. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah, well, absolutely. But at the same time, it does seem a bit selfish on the surface. But again, there must be good reason for it. And I suppose they'd all be dead if he hadn't interpreted the dream. So, I just think it's amazing that a Hebrew, who I'm not sure where it might be later on in Genesis, it may have been previous to this, but Hebrews would not sit with Egyptians and share a meal. Oh, it's later. It is later.
Yeah, it pops up in a little bit.
But the idea that Pharaoh is so grateful for the interpretation, even after Joseph sassed him a little bit, that he puts him in charge of everything, is just, it's unthinkable. It's unheard of. It's a bit like going back all the way to Abraham saying, look, you're going to have kids and you're going to have descendants. He's like, I'm getting on God, I don't know if I can do that. Like, yeah, you will. I've told you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love those unfathomable things.
Yeah.
Speaking of unfathomable, let's segue into 42:6 then. So Joseph, after being a little turd in his teenage years, saying to his brothers, "I had a dream, you're going to bow down to me." When Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground.
Yeah.
My comment is very simple. Genesis 42:6, brilliant.
Seriously, I had what a poker face. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Joseph
yeah.
suddenly been like, hey, look what's come around, eh? Look at him crawling back.
I remember seeing this in a dream before it
Seriously.
was sold into slavery. Yeah, I just love that bit. And then let's talk Reuben for a little bit as well, right? So obviously Reuben, the only brother not wanting to sell Joseph into slavery, kind of insane to think he's the only one. But now, didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? You wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood.
Yeah.
Genesis 42:22. And it's just this, this sense that Reuben speaks, but no one really listens throughout this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
just
mean, obviously there's still arguments going on between the brother,
right,
between the dad as regarding what happened to Joseph.
absolutely.
And it seems I don't know whether again this is partly Reuben trying to make amends for sleeping with the concubine. Don't know, not sure. But interesting how he's the one that now again sort of takes that leadership, kind of like what you were saying there, because in 42:37, Reuben said to his father, "You may put both of my sons to death if I do not bring him being Benjamin, back to you. Entrust him to me." So obviously the concept or the background to this was Joseph wanted to make sure that Benjamin was alive for whatever reason, we don't know, but he said the only reason I'll let your other brother, I think it was Simeon that got put in jail, the only reason I'll let him go is if you bring back Benjamin and show him to me.
Right. It might partly be because Joseph and Benjamin are the only full-blooded brothers, right?
Yeah.
I think that's got that significance again.
Yeah, very true, very true. But yeah, and so it's Reuben who's the one who actually is stepping up now and taking a bit of ownership. So whether he's been going on his own little personal journey with God, or maybe his own guilt and sin's been eating away at him and he's trying to make amends, I don't know. But it's nice that he's actually starting to do something half decent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's everything that I wanted to get through, and it looks like you've managed to get most of the way through. So
Yeah.
just a reminder, we've loved doing this so far. We are really thrilled to go through this journey with everyone, and just thank you all again for tuning in. We are looking actively for people to contribute on the Facebook page, Two Brits and a Bible. If you're doing this and you're doing it alone or you have questions, don't feel alone. Post things on there. We'll try and get some discussions going. It will be fantastic. And we do have some friends that are theologians and are much, much better at this than we are. So they can answer some of these questions that are above our pay grades.
Sounds ideal.
Awesome. All right.
Fantastic. So yeah, Bevan's pretty much touched on it. Any questions, visit the Facebook page, Two Brits and a Bible.
Or you can email us at twobritsbible@gmail.com. See you tomorrow, guys.